Welcome back to the third section of the Axial Spondyloarthritis module, and we're going to talk about management in this section of these predominantly axial presenting diseases. So as previous, this does build on the introductory module where we talked about management principle overview. So I would encourage you to watch that webinar first if you haven't already, or if you want to watch this one through and then go back and watch that one. Just talks about some of the general principles and also using physical activity for general health, that kind of thing. So we're really interested in those general principles, as well as this will talk about specifically the management of these axial presentations, or the things we might want to do specifically for these patients. So we're going to talk about spinal exercises predominantly, as we know these are axially presenting. We're going to talk about adapting the exercises and also a bit on diet as well. So we're going to talk about spinal exercises in detail, and traditionally these patients who were diagnosed a long time ago, 25, 30 years ago, ended up in a very kyphotic position. They're very flexed over with spinal fusion. And that doesn't really happen so much anymore. The management is far better. But still, we want to try and keep these patients as upright as possible, but mostly keeping them functionally strong and effective. And spinal exercises are a really good way of doing that. Now, if their spine is going to fuse, it is going to fuse. There is nothing we are going to do from a physiotherapy or musculoskeletal therapy point of view to stop that. But if we can keep their spinal extensors nice and strong, they might not come forwards quite as much. But also it's really important for loading the spine with regards to bone health. Unfortunately, patients who develop fusion have very poor bone quality in their spine and are very susceptible to fractures. So loading the spine is extremely important. So what we're going to do is we're going to include range of motion exercises, and these don't need to be particularly aggressive or even extensive. Just whilst the patient has decent range of motion, taking them through the full range of motion as is required. You might want to include more specifics if they are lacking some range of motion functionally. They can't get down into flexion, or they can't extend or rotate. Then you might want to work on that more specifically.